Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Showgirls. And this movie came out in 1995, and it's directed by Paul Verhoeven. And this is the same director as Total Recall and RoboCop, and he also did Starship Troopers. And this film was pretty bad. There were a couple of good things. I thought the movie looked nice. It wasn't terribly shot in every scene. You can tell that they spent money on this film. It doesn't look like a cheap film, like a $2 film. It was a $45 million budget, and it only grossed about $20 million, so didn't exactly do very well. And I believe this movie was trying to be one of, if not the most explicit movies at the time. And that's pretty much all this movie is really famous for, and just falling flat on its face and not really working out in any way. Elizabeth Berkley, she was not very good in this movie, and she's the main character, and she just never brings anything to the role. There are parts of it where she's okay, but whenever she's required to like emote or just give out anything that's not just like normal talking voice, she sucks. I don't buy it at all. And the way she acts physically, she looks like she's kind of angry and just trying to like move her arms around as fast as possible, and it's just very off-putting to me. Like, I just don't feel like I'm watching a character. I just don't really buy it. And to top it all off, none of the characters are very interesting. They don't add anything to the movie. There's just a lot of characters in this movie, and they're not all that interesting. And even when they try to give some characterization to some characters, it just either A, goes nowhere, B, doesn't matter, or C, just feels like we're in a very familiar territory. Like, I've seen this done before in better movies. While watching the movie, there were some films that reminded me of better movies that I would rather be watching. Like, I'd rather be watching Black Swan. I would rather be watching Magic Mike. I would rather be watching The Red Shoes, Honora, The Substance. Like, any of those, so much better than this movie. And this movie is just filled to the brim of things just happening for no reason. There isn't really much of a plot to this film. Like, nothing really builds. I don't really understand what I was supposed to really get out of this movie plot-wise, because there isn't really much of a plot to this movie. And I guess that's not really what the movie is trying to be. It's trying to be more or less about the experience and what it might be like in Las Vegas, in this industry. I guess that makes sense, but unfortunately there's just not really an angle, and anything that could have been interesting about it was never given enough time to make it compelling to me. And so what's left is just this weird movie that has so many different things going on in it where it just doesn't really get enough time to develop anything, and it just becomes a very hollow experience because of it. And there's plenty of dance scenes in this movie, and I was hoping that there was going to be one dance scene in this movie where I would be impressed by the dance scene. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. There was not one dance scene where I was with it. I didn't really care about the dancing. It just happens, it's there, and I don't care about it. Whereas something like Black Swan or The Red Shoes, it's like really hypnotizing to look at, or awesome. Or even the Suspiria remake has some really great dance scenes, and it's like hypnotizing to look at. Whereas this, it just happens and does nothing for the experience. And speaking of the Suspiria remake, the way characters dance in this movie, like, it's supposed to be sexy because they're stripping naked, but the way that they perform it, it's less sexy, and the way that it's being shown feels more or less like it's from a horror movie. And there are parts of that I was like genuinely reminded of the Suspiria remake in terms of how things were presented, in terms of how the characters were dancing. I was like, this feels very much like that. And I feel like that's such a failure to this movie. Like, all you would need to do is just to add horror movie music on top of it, or scratch that. Just to take the Tom York soundtrack from the Suspiria remake and put it on top of this movie, and there you go. You got a horror movie. There's a scene in this movie towards the beginning where characters cause a semi-truck to almost crash on the highway, and that scene reminded me very heavily of Red Rocket. I'm not even kidding you. I guess one other positive I can say about this movie is that I do feel as though this movie did end on a good little funny gag that I felt was effective, and the movie wasn't really boring to me. I can say that much about it for the most part. But that's mostly because I was just fascinated with how bad this movie was in terms of like what it got wrong, what things are we doing here. Nothing matters. Everything that a good movie needs to be is just not in this movie. Overall, I can say that this movie was kind of ambitious. It was, I guess, different in ways. It didn't have talentless hacks behind it, I guess. This was supposed to be Elizabeth Berkley's big breakout film. Like, I think she was mostly famous for TV shows at the time, and this was supposed to be her big movie, and that just didn't really work out. And with this movie trying to be very explicit, and it just not really working in the film's favor, overall, I can say this movie was a big swing and a miss. I can say that about it. But unfortunately, it's just not very good. So you don't need to watch this movie. It just has a bunch of pointless scenes, and everything that this movie is trying to do is just done better in other movies. And I would just recommend that you would watch the movies that I mentioned during this review. That's not Showgirls. So no reason to watch this movie. Watch Anora. Watch The Red Shoes. Watch Black Swan. Watch Magic Mike. Watch The Substance. Even Red Rocket. All so much better than this movie. So, with all that being said, I'm going to give Showgirls a 2 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Showgirls, and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Solo Leveling Season 1. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.